Beneath a canopy of blue sky, a ship floats on sun-drenched water. There is nothing, no one around for miles, just seagulls perched on an anchor line, taking a break from flying. But on the deck of the J.B. Magruder, the pace is anything but slow.
Good luck, guys.
Divers hit the water. They are searching for treasure buried in the sandy bottom for nearly 400 years. The divers work for Mel Fisher's Treasures. If the name sounds familiar, it should. 30 years ago this July, Fisher and his team, after more than 15 years of searching, found the motherlode from the Spanish Galleon Nuestra Senora de Atocha. $400 million in gold, silver, emeralds, and artifacts.
He told us every day we got up, today's the day we're going to find the treasure. And finally it was.
Kim Fisher now runs his late father's company, still doing what his dad did, still looking for more treasure from the Atocha and its sister ship, the Santa Margarita.
What keeps you going after all these years?
Well, it's fun. I mean, what else am I going to do? You know, I can't think of anything else I'd rather do than hunt for treasure.
The Magruder is 30 miles west of Key West. In 60-degree water, the divers are over a trail of debris from the Santa Margarita. Both it and the Atocha were heading to Spain loaded with treasure when they sank during a hurricane in 1622. After each dive, the ship is repositioned. Then, massive holes are blown in the bottom, clearing away the sand in hopes of exposing the next big find. Diver Tim Mead brings up a ballast stone. The Spaniards used them to balance the weight of their ships. Finding them means you may be close to treasure.
Sometimes underwater, you can even crumble it in your hands. It makes you feel like Superman.
Mead has been diving with the team for 6 years. He's hooked too.
It's not just one thing, it's so many things. I mean, you're hunting history, you're a modern day pirate, you're living in childhood dreams out here. I joke around and say that I'm Peter Pan because I'm in Neverland. I mean, you never grow up out here.
On a typical day, Mead and his fellow divers will be in the water up to 20 times. From the wheelhouse, Andy Matrosi runs the show.
Hey, Papo, how's your day going?
Matrosi shows me a computer screen covered in circles. Each one represents where holes have been excavated. Symbols inside the circles denote what, if anything, was found in them by the divers.
It's literally thousands and thousands of holes have been excavated here in searching for these two Spanish galleons. And the majority of them, nothing was found.
Nothing.
Maybe 90% of them, nothing is found.
But if anyone can tell you what it feels like finding riches beyond belief, Andy can. Like a film playing in his head, he'll never forget that day.
I can still see that film playing of swimming up and what we saw and what we did. So at times, yeah, it doesn't feel like it was 30 years ago. No, not at all.
Matrosi and another diver had been working in one of the holes. He had a hunch. If they swam southeast, they might just find something good. They had no idea it would be the Atocha motherlode.
So we went to the southeast part of the hole, went out of it, swam for 100 feet, and then in our view came a rise of about 3 feet, and it was 75 feet long, 20 feet wide. It was 984 bars of silver, 154,000 silver coins, and it was the bottom of the Atocha. It was gold bars, chest of gold bars, chest of coins.
There was lobsters living in the cracks, and there's fish hooks snagged all over it. People had been using it as a fishing spot, with no idea what they were fishing on. They just thought it was a reef, but it was actually a silver reef.
And talk about luck. Based upon where they had found other items from the wreck, That main pile was 8 miles from where the fishers thought it should be.
You want to surface and just shout it out to the world, but I said, Greg, let's you and me swim around it and look at it. Enjoy it now, I thought, because it's never going to be quiet down here again. For these few moments, it's just you and me on the mother lode.
For the fishers, finding the Atocha treasure was a dream of a lifetime come true, but it had come at a price. One of Kim's brothers, a sister-in-law, and another diver lost their lives pursuing the dream.
July 20th, 1985. It was actually 10 years to the day from when my brother drowned. It was kind of strange, you know, that it happened that way.
For nearly a decade, they fought with the government for the rights to the treasure.
We ran out of money several times, you know. We had enough money to buy fuel for the boats, and we'd go spear fishing for lunch. Lived off of fish and lobsters for years.
Until the U.S. Supreme Court settled it.
Yes, yeah, it was 8 years, 111 different hearings and trials, and finally they said, finders keepers, so we get it all.
Some of it, like this emerald cross, gold chains, and silver bars, went to the Mel Fisher Maritime Museum, which Fisher himself founded in Key West, Florida.
You know, treasure hunting is not just about finding gold, silver, and jewels. It's also about uncovering and literally piecing together an historical record buried beneath the waves. That's where museum archaeologist Corey Malcolm comes in.
Now this looks like, a lot of people say it looks like a big fork. Well, it sort of is, but it's actually a trident, like Neptune carried.
In the museum's laboratory, Malcolm gives new life to the past. There's a shoe from a mule, cannons.
Well, here we have a crossbow in this tank.
And none of this came from the Atocha or Santa Margarita. For 8 years, Malcolm and his team excavated a site off the Bahamas. The Santa Clara carried no treasure at all when it went down on the rocks, but here it's about history, not treasure. Much of what you find in the museum came from ships that never carried a single gold bar or emerald.
We're always looking for interesting stories. You know, things that can help us see the past in some new way, archaeologically, historically, whatever. And this ship, the Santa Clara site, is letting us get a look into the early days of the Spanish colonial system in ways that no other shipwreck has or can.
The museum is as much Mel Fisher's legacy as the treasure. But it's the lure of finding riches, instant wealth, just a dive away, that is so addictive.
At some point in their life, everybody dreams about finding buried treasure. And I'm just lucky I get to live that dream. It's a fantastic thing to do.
Much has changed in 30 years of treasure hunting. These days, the divers use metal detectors. Satellite technology allows precision marking of each hole searched. During the summer months, Fisher even runs dive trips to the site for tourists.
You would think 30 years after the mother lode of the Atocha was found that there wouldn't be much left out here, but you'd be dead wrong. Right here at the Santa Margarita site, according to the ship's manifest, there's still $160 million in gold, in silver, and artifacts still out here. And at the Atocha site, there's still another $120 million in artifacts and gold and silver.
And that's just what they know the ships were carrying. No one knows how much was smuggled on board in gold and jewels.
Is there a point where you have to call it quits and move on?
Well, I mean, you know, you got that big pile of treasure out here somewhere. You just got to keep going until you find it.
And the mother lode from the Margarita might be down there right beneath us, just waiting to be found.